Greetings. In this video, this is the first of two videos actually, we're going to go over creating sheets and printing PDFs from Revit for our Barcelona pavilion. In this one, we're going to create one sheet, a floor plan. We'll make a lot of adjustments to it, and then I think in a second video we'll look at creating a number of different sheets, sections to look at, and then we'll print PDFs and see what the our initial draft of this project should look like. Okay, so here we are inside our project, and to begin we are going to go to Insert up here at the top, and then we're going to load families. So what we're looking to do is down here in our project browser, we want to create some sheets, and right now you can see that there's no little plus sign down here at the bottom left, so there are no sheets inside this project yet. They're in Revit, they're ready to go, but we have to get them from Revit into our project, like many different objects. So we're going to come up here to Load Family, and this is already at title blocks because I gave this a dry run to go through it, but you're probably going to go from Load Family here into US Imperial, and then you're going to come down to the bottom and go to title blocks. And then you'll see all the title blocks that are set up. And for this project, we're going to do a series of 11 by 17 horizontal sheets. So we're going to double click on that, and still no sheets down here. So now it has been loaded into the project, but still they do not just simply appear there. So our next step from there, we are going to we could just come down here, we could select sheets, and we could right click and go to new sheet. And now whichever sheets have been loaded into this project will appear here. There's our 11 by 17 horizontal. And we will say OK, and here it is. So it was just inserted now, and now we could see down in our project browser that the little plus sign is there, and when we open it up we could see our first A101 unnamed sheet has appeared. Okay, we could also do the same if we go to the View tab, and we will see that here in the Sheet Composition panel. We could create sheets here. So first, regardless of if we do the right click down here in the project browser or we come up here to Sheet Composition, first we have to insert it into the project, but then there are two different ways. We could just hit here Sheet again, and we get to the same location, and we could just create another sheet. I'll say OK, and now we have Sheet 102 unnamed. So that's how we begin throwing our sheets into this project. Okay, so next we could right click on this sheet name, and we could rename it here. We could just give that a just a left click, one left click, and we will come here. For our project, we're just going to do simple A1, A2, A3. Let's see, we say OK to that, and there it is. So that is our sheet number, not the sheet name. The sheet name is there. Okay, and we could do the same actually if we want to just so let's see, there we go. So it's kind of one gentle left click. We'll bring this up, and in this one we could call floor plan. There we could have that, and that's all populated down there in the title block. Okay, very good. So now I want to talk about the importance of these title blocks and the information that's found in it. So there are two different types of information you'll find in title blocks. This is in Revit, and this is in all construction documents. Architecture, engineers, interior designers, everybody has title blocks, and there's a lot of important information inside of these. So some of the information is project specific, and some of it is project-wide information. Okay, so for so we're going to come up to our Manage tab. So just in general, so project-wide information would be the project name. So it doesn't matter if this is just a school project with 3 or 4 sheets, or we're building a skyscraper and we have hundreds of sheets. The name of the project would never change. So that would be project-wide information. Other pieces that might not change would be the architect's name, the engineer's name, for instance. That's project-wide. So every single sheet, it's going to be the same. So sheet-specific information is different from project-wide. So sheet-specific. So sheet-specific would be this number. So every sheet has a unique number. So A1, A2, A3. So that is sheet-specific. The name of each sheet is also unique. So we're going to go from floor plan, then we're going to have our elevation sheet, then we're going to have our section sheet, then we'll have our rendering sheet. So that is sheet specific information, and that will always change. Project numbers, that would not change. I would not expect that to change, so that would be project wide. Dates could be sheet specific. It's not uncommon in a project that a number of sheets are released and they all have a unique date, and then later more sheets are added to the document, and then those would have a different issue date, for instance. Who drew it, who checked it, that could change from sheet to sheet as well. So the difference between project wide and sheet specific. Okay, so to change some of this, we could come up here to our Manage tab, and here we find project information. Okay, this is in, so this is just in our Manage tab, project information. We click on this, and this is all of our, this is our project-wide information, basically. So we can see right here, so this all falls under other, what we're concerned with it for our project. So our client name is owner, so that would be you for our purposes. So I'm going to put my name in there, David Bertram. And for our project name right here, I will put our Barcelona Pavilion. Okay, and then we'll say that. And again, this is project wide, so when I go to my A2, my A102 sheet, and let's just change that right now to A2, and let's call this, let's just call this elevations. Okay, so now we have two sheets, and my name and the project name has appeared on both because it is project-wide information. Okay, and then for sheet-specific information, we could easily just jump right into here, and for instance, so again, the issue date might vary, so we could just double-click right on that, and I will put in today's date, which is May 22nd of 2020, and that will update right there. Okay, so that is taking care of the title block information that we need. We don't have project numbers. We're not concerned about drawn or checked by, and the scale will populate when the actual drawings come in. So that is our title block. Okay, so just one other thing to mention here, kind of a side note. If we come up here to the View tab, and we have Sheet Composition panel here, there could be some things that you might find helpful. One is the guide grid. So we could click on that, and then we have grids coming up, and there you could create various different grids. For our small project, small 11 by 17 sheets, so we could select it. We could select it over here on the side. We see the nodes come available, and then when we're on the side, we see the move arrow appears, and we could actually move this thing around. So probably not necessary for our small project that will only have a handful of drawings, 2 or 3 drawings perhaps on an 11 by 17 sheet. But you could probably imagine if you get into big 24 by 36 sheets or whatnot, this grid might help to align things and to keep them nice, neat, and tidy. You might find it helpful. Otherwise, I'm just going to delete it. Okay, so that's just a side note. And then, so let's just another side note, a very important one actually. Let's just jump into the floor plan for a second. So here we are in our floor plan, and I want to talk about the elevation cameras that are going to be showing up. So I call them cameras. I don't think they're technically called cameras. So we have our floor plan, and then we have our elevations as we look at this building, as we move around it, east, north, west, south. And what we see here is actually dictated by these, again, what I'm calling cameras. So we see, so this guy here would be looking at our west elevation. This guy here is looking at our south elevation, north elevation, and our east elevation. And if I click on this triangle, a line appears. So let's take a look at our east elevation here. So our east elevation, so we could see our stairs, we could see that wall. This is the forward wall, and this is that window that we put in that's back in the kind of the auxiliary building in the back right. So that's our east elevation. And now if I jump back to our finished floor plan, select just the triangle, and I see this, what this line is telling us, and I set this file up for you, so these are all correct right now. But what this line is telling us is basically where that elevation begins. So if for instance, if I pick this line up and I move it into here now, and then we jump back to our east elevation, you could see that we no longer see this wall. Our elevation has now essentially become a section. We've moved into the project. This wall has disappeared, and now we could see these doors, which is not truly an elevation. So we've skipped past this wall, and our elevations become a section, and now it begins here, and we're looking at these doors. This is handy. This could definitely be handy. It could definitely have its place in terms of creating elevations and getting rid of clutter or being specific about views. Our simple pavilion, we want all of these to be on the outside, and that's where they are placed. So I set this up for you, this template, so they're all placed properly now. But inevitably, you'll get into your own projects, and when you open up a new template, and if you begin, perhaps you'll begin with a JPEG or a CAD drawing to begin building your model. Inevitably, some will be very large, some will be small, and these cameras, again, that I'm calling them, you will have to move them and adjust them accordingly. And sometimes people could move these cameras. Let's just back it up. It's not really going to change anything. But the camera could be in one place, and this line could be over here, unbeknownst to yourself, perhaps. And then you go to your elevation, and it does not look correct, and this could be the culprit. So, helpful under certain circumstances, but when you're new to Revit, it could also cause confusion because your elevations don't look like they should, and this is kind of a behind-the-scenes hidden thing in Revit that you have to be aware of. We're going to get back and talk about these cameras and turning them off in our view. So that's kind of why I brought that up. So there will inevitably be a lot of little kind of behind the scenes things that we need to learn about Revit. It's a dense program, of course. So that's how those work. And now let's just get back to our sheet. So here's our floor plan. And so something that's really nice about Revit is just how easy it is to populate the sheet. So I'm just going to come over here to my project browser. Here's my floor plan. I'm going to left click, hold it, and just drag it right in, and then it appears. And it's that easy to populate a sheet. Obviously, some adjustments need to be made. Our plan is a lot bigger than our sheet, as you could see. But compared to CAD and creating viewports, it's quite a bit easier, I would say. Okay, so to edit this drawing now, we need to. So this is the viewport. So you can see nothing is selected now. And when I come over here and I hover, this box appears, and that is the viewport. So similar to CAD, we have paper space. We have viewports in paper space. In CAD, I'm referring to, and those viewports are windows into model space. This works very much the same way. This is our viewport, and we're looking into model space essentially right here. So I'm going to select this, and I am going to activate this. So what I could do is right click on it, and I could say activate the viewport. And also, just to note here, down at the bottom here where we have our toolbar, nothing is revealed right now, and that's another little kind of idiosyncratic piece of Revit, is that often things that were momentarily there are now out of view because they're not relevant. So you kind of have to get used to that. So so once I select this guy, and just watch what happens down here at the bottom right, I right click, and then I activate this view. And now all of these tools have become available because now they are pertinent, and now they are useful. Okay, so if the view of things change, that is often the reason. Revit doesn't show you things that you can't use under certain circumstances. So with a deactivated viewport, you can't see these tools. Now that I activated it, I can. So now I could click on the scale, and for our pavilion on an 11 by 17 sheet, it came in at 1/8 inch scale, and we are going to move it to 16th inch scale. And then you can see that it just collapsed right there. Now I could right click again, and I could deactivate that view. Okay, and so there's one other important note, very, very important note. Just like CAD, I'm going to select it again, right click, activate. So when the viewport has been activated, just like CAD, I could come in here and I could select. So now I have selected my floor. So this is just like being in model space in CAD. So I could accidentally delete things, move things. So again, like CAD, you have to be very careful under these circumstances. Don't just grab things. So if right now, if I came in here, I could grab, right now I have the our original JPEG selected, but I could grab a wall, for instance, and move it, delete it. So you have to, proceed with caution. Don't just start moving things around kind of, without care, I would say. So let's deactivate that view now. And now I'm essentially in paper space, again, sticking with a kind of a CAD analogy. And now I'm going to zoom in, and so here are our cameras that we just discussed. This is the drawing title down here, finished floor. That finished floor, whatever plan it is right here that we dragged in, that same text is going to show up. So these things are obviously not on our sheet, and we're going to adjust them. These things we just need to hide, but you can see our floor plan minus the JPEG. We were drawing on top of a JPEG. This staircase is part of the JPEG. We're not drawing that. We're gonna turn off the JPEG. So all we really care about is our pavilion, which is this area. So it fits. My point of my story here is that it fits, and we could kind of center it up nicely. And once we turn this stuff off, we'll reevaluate the how nicely centered we have it. Okay, so let us right click again, let us activate, and now we are again in model space, so to speak. Let us select here. We could right click and we can hide in view. All right, so this is something you're going to have to get used to. Again, these elements are only being hidden in this view. So when we go back to our floor plan, we will see them and we could adjust them. But for purposes on our sheet, we don't want them to show. And there are 4 of them for our 4 elevations. So I'm just going to hide the entire category and then they go away. They wouldn't print, it wouldn't be a problem, but I just like to kind of see things more neatly without the clutter. Likewise, here's our floor plan and I select it and I can see right here, raster image, and this is, I believe, the Spanish text describing, just saying floor plan. I believe I don't speak Spanish myself. But that's what we have here, and I'm again going to right click and I'm going to hide this in view. So I'm not sure why it says category. We only have one JPEG in this file, but I'm just going to go with element and I'm going to hide it. And now it's already starting to look a lot neater and cleaner. Okay, so we have our scale correct, and I just want to one more time review down here. This is our reveal hidden elements. I'm just going to click on that. So again, this is something you're just going to have to get used to, where these things are located and what they do. So when we're not seeing something that we expect to see, we come down here and we reveal everything. So I hid these guys. There they are. I could select them. I could right click and I could unhide them in view. I could unhide the whole category. Here again is our JPEG floor plan. I could select it, I could right click, and I could unhide it in view. So if we want to bring something back, this is how we do it. So now I'm going to just turn that off. Okay, let's see. I think if I'm just looking over our cheat sheet, so I believe we took care of the scale. Oh, the other important part of the puzzle, again, not pertinent right now, but right here we have our temporary hide and isolate. We've covered that. Right next to it here it says show crop region. Okay, a little light bulb and a little crop symbol. When I click on that, this box comes up. Right, this box is the crop region. Basically, it's dictating what we could see and what we can't see. So again, right now it's correct. We see our whole floor plan, all is well. But inevitably, when it comes to sections and elevations and your future projects, sometimes you're going to come here and you are not going to see this thing, and then I could just turn it off, and you're going to come and you're going to say, what happened to the right side of my plan? It has vanished. It is often, the crop region is often the culprit. All right, so again, a little behind the scenes thing that you have to have on your radar. Okay, so I'm just going to turn that off so we don't see it. And then we talked about our elevation markers. We talked about the turning off that and unhiding. We talked about everything. Good. Okay, so this looks good. Yes, we're missing some walls here, so we'll have to investigate that, what has happened there. But otherwise, at this point, we're good to continue with this particular lesson. So I'm going to deactivate this view now, and sure, we could save this project. Okay, so everything looks good except for our drawing title. Okay, so this is our sheet, and this is our drawing. So sheets are made up of drawings. So I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to select him. Once I do, I could see my move arrow appears, and I could pick him up and I could move him. Okay. Typically, we like to align our drawing titles, the left hand of them with the left hand of our drawings. You want to be consistent from drawing to drawing. So our spacing between the drawings should always be relatively consistent. Our alignment should always be consistent. And drawings typically start at the bottom left. Okay, and now what's the deal with this incredibly enormous line, you ask, and why can't I shrink it? And this is something that I just don't understand about Revit. When I select it, I can't do anything with it. But however, when I select my my viewport, which is right here, okay, so I have my title block, that's one object. I have my viewport right there, that's another object, and I have this line. So 3 objects on the page. I have to get in here and I have to find this viewport, okay? And once I select the viewport, this node appears, okay? And now I could drag this thing all the way down. Why it works that way, I do not know. Like, why when I select this actual object does that node not appear? I don't know the answer to that question. That's one of the mysteries of Revit to me. Again, select the viewport, the node arrives. So in general, for neatness, I think all of these should be the same size, all right? I would not shrink it down to here because inevitably we are going to have east elevation, which is a longer word than finished floor. So I like to keep these all looking the same. So I kind of think about the worst case scenario. Whatever our longest word is could end up being, you know, east elevation rendering. But for neatness, I think they should all be consistent. Okay. So that covers getting the floor plan onto a sheet. So I will follow this up with a second video where we will create sections and we'll get them onto sheets, and I'm going to talk more specifically about which sections we want to look at so that I could so when you submit them to me, I could take a closer look at them. Okay, so this is our first step. All right, thank you and good luck.